Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for listening to my podcast and for joining me. We're going to be talking about vitamin C cabbage, which is very much a healing modality. And it is one of my most popular cultured starters that people use and buy because they love making krauts and cultured vegetables with this starter because it's so powerful. And just let me give you a little bit of history on fermented sauerkraut. Now, Captain Cook, he was the famous, voyager who was one of the first people to really make cultured sauerkraut a healing modality. When he took his first vessel and crew on a long voyage in 1768, a violent storm arose, and the waves tossed the ship about violently. Many crewmen were injured, and to save the men from gangrene, the ship's doctor made poultices of cultured cabbage juice on board to heal the men's wounds. So Cook wrote in one of his books. I actually have a picture of his book, and the book is called Captain Cook's Journal During the First Voyage Around the World. It's actually very interesting to read. And he was one of the very first ship's captains to recognize how important vitamin C was to a sailor's diet. And that was due mostly to the lack of fresh fruits and vegetables that caused scurvy, which was a horrible, terrible disease that killed millions of sailors in the time. It was quite the disease to get because your gums would sprout from your mouth. They would turn black, and because you weren't getting enough vitamin C, because vitamin C is something that you need on a continuous basis. And they just didn't have that on board a ship for long voyages. So Captain Cook always sailed with huge barrels of fermented cabbage. And to be exact, it was 7,860 pounds of sauerkraut that he would put aboard his ships. And he would insist that the sailors eat it. And scurvy was never a problem on his ships because cultured cabbage contained lots of vitamin C. And that's a good news for you too. He would literally trick the men into eating it. When he first started doing it, the men didn't want to eat the fermented cabbage. So what he did was he said this in front of all the sailors. He goes, only give the fermented cabbage to the officers on board, put it at their table. Well, soon all the men wanted to eat all of the sauerkraut that was on the officers' table because they thought that was special. So that was originally how he got them to eat the fermented sauerkraut, was by making a special condiment for just the officers. And pretty soon they were all eating it. And then after so many years, he was like, you have to eat it because we don't want sailors dying on our ships. And the good news is that when you eat fermented sauerkraut, there's a lot of vitamin C in it for you as well. It's a fantastic way for you to get lots of vitamin C. And I do this a lot, especially when I need a boost of vitamin C, because here's the thing, like when you kind of get like an afternoon slump or something, your adrenals get real tired, vitamin C is the first thing that will perk them up because that's what your adrenal glands need, along with a lot of B vitamins, which sauerkraut has too. So let me explain this. So cabbage, when you just have regular cabbage, it's 30 milligrams of vitamin C per cup. So if you eat a cup of cabbage, you get 30 milligrams. But when you ferment that cabbage, and Cornell University did this study on this, they found that it had as much as 600 to 700 milligrams per cup of vitamin C once it was fermented. So you get all these probiotics, billions of probiotics, and you also get a ton of vitamin C. And it's in the juice too. It's in the juice of the kraut as well. And I use it all the time just for an extra pick-me-up. I think it's better than taking a vitamin C tablet. A lot of people take them. That could be hard on your kidneys. So I always try to get it from natural food sources. And kraut juice is fabulous for giving you a little boost of vitamin C, especially if you're having things like seasonal allergies, or this is the time of year, it's getting ready to be October, where people have ragweed. And so you need extra vitamin C because your body's trying to fight this, what it thinks is a foreign invader, which it really isn't. It's just your body's and your immune system is overreacting to it. So you need extra vitamin C to help your body accommodate that stress. And B vitamins work too, but it's much better to get it in food. And even just a spoonful makes a big difference of of the kraut juice. I have so many different recipes that are really good. So if you don't like kraut, stay tuned because I have a lot of different ways to make it, and I'm sure you'll find one that you really like. So since vitamin C has become one of the most important nutrients for me, especially, I make sure I have vitamin C throughout the day because it's water soluble. So your body will rapidly use it up. Like if your body's fighting an infection or stress, your body uses up vitamin C a lot. So when you have more and more demands on yourself, having extra vitamin C, especially in a food source, is a great way to do it. You can get it through fruits and, lemons, limes, oranges, strawberries are fabulous for vitamin C. It's a great thing to give your body all the time. It needs it and it loves it, and it helps you to feel better. It works really fast when you get into a food source, and it will just keep your adrenal glands functioning properly. And it's a great way to get more vitamin C. So your body is designed to fight for your wellness. That's what it's designed to do. And good bacteria in your body acts as microscopic bouncers for the bowels that let in desirable nutrients and slam the door on things like viruses and killer bugs, infections. Without bacteria, you couldn't even digest your food. But digestion is only part of these high achievers' accomplishments because bacteria does so much for us. They also help power 60, 70, sometimes people say it's 80% of your immune system. And I'm starting to believe that. I'm seeing this a lot, where when people's immune systems start struggling and they start having, all different kinds of autoimmune diseases, then their immune system doesn't have enough of what it needs to keep their immune system running strong. Bifido is one of the bacteria that helps to keep your immune system running strong. It's what it's designed to do. So you need lots of good bacteria in your gut. And that's what helps to keep your immune system running. And the bottom line is all of us would be dead without bacteria. Their special abilities keep you well every day. And you have trillions upon trillions of good bacteria that spend their days destroying some of the harmful cousins that are bad bacteria that you come in contact with. They also pick through undigested food and micromanage calories and make some vitamins and essential nutrients for you, but that's not all they do. These good bacteria in the gut influence the strength of your immune system by increasing the number of T cells. And there are two kinds of T cells in your body: helper T cells and killer T cells. Now, the killer T cells find and destroy infected cells that have been turned into virus-making communities. Helper T cells don't fight invaders. Instead, they are like a military intelligence system. And when a helper T cell sends out a chemical message, it is matched with a killer T cell and is alerted that a virus is present or infection, and it seeks to destroy it. Having lots and lots of good bacteria in your gut increases your T cell production and keeps communication among all your cells functioning at a really high level. That's what your body was designed to do. So signals from these beneficial microbes are essential to keeping your immune system strong so it can seek and destroy a virus or infection. And many people have been on so many antibiotics, which kills the good bacteria and the bad bacteria, and they never build up these good communities of bacteria in their body to fight these pathogens. And you really need lots of good bacteria. I see this a lot from people who've taken a lot of antibiotics. Lots of times, and I'm not against antibiotics at all, I just think that you need to make sure you build that back up because it kills the good and the bad. And it may have killed something that was harming you, and which is important, but then you've got to help to boost your body's ability to build up those communities again. Okay, so for instance, let me explain this. This is kind of interesting. So depending on what you eat, because your bacteria likes fibers, that's how they grow and multiply and grow the good bacteria, but certain foods you eat can also cause bad bacteria to grow, like sugars, processed foods, things like that. Too much of, too many harmful foods that have additives and things, that's going to feed the harmful bacteria. But then fruits and vegetables and probiotic foods, fermented foods, all of these foods, and then all the fibers like fruits and vegetables, or seeds, nuts, even certain grains, they are all going to feed that good bacteria and make it grow. Leafy greens, all of that. So, and especially berries, apples, all of them feed your gut bacteria. So if you are not eating a lot of those fibers that make your good bacteria strong. Let's say you've been eating really bad, okay, and you've been eating a lot of sugar, having some foods that are harmful. What happens is that bad bacteria starts to grow. The good bacteria starts to diminish a little bit, and then there's a battle in your body for who's going to dominate. So then you're like, oh, I can't eat like this. I don't feel very good. I'm going to go back, and you start eating more fresh fruits and vegetables, fibers that are going to feed your good bacteria. Your good bacteria starts to grow and multiply, and then it kills the bad bacteria. And then those die off, which can give you a little bit of they can die off, they can give off toxins, which make you not feel good at first, but then it kind of goes away. So there's this constant battle all day long, depending on what you're eating. Are you going to feed the good? Are you going to feed the bad bacteria? And your body's very good at regulating all of this, but it's the more good bacteria you have and the more you feed it fibers, the more it grows and multiplies and keeps you well and creates more T cells. All of this is going on without any of your awareness, okay? You have no idea what's really going on inside of there, but these are 100 trillion bacteria in your body. That's more than stars in the Milky Way galaxy. It's a lot. And they are having one job is to keep you well. And they can't do that if you're not eating well. You're going to feel bad because that's what happens. And so every day, no matter what you do, you don't have to become, scared about it, but the more you feed it fibers, let's say, for instance, okay, this morning I had strawberries and blueberries in a smoothie with kefir. I had a few spoonfuls of L-reuteri, and I have this new thing I've been drinking. It's called ground cacao. It's so crazy. It's just chocolate. It's ground up like coffee, and I've been making that for breakfast. Oh my goodness, it's so good because it's almost October. It's fall, and I've been putting a little bit of cinnamon and clove cinnamon and fall spices in it, and then I put a little bit of I made some homemade coconut milk this morning, so I put some of that in there. Oh my gosh, guys, it's so good. It's not coffee. It's just cacao that's just been ground into coffee like pieces, and I make it just like coffee, and we've been having so much fun with it. It's called Cryo Brew if you're interested. It's I think I got it. You can get it CRIO. I'm getting off on a tangent. Anyway, I just like to tell you guys what I do, but it's such a fun fall drink because it tastes like you're drinking. It's not as thick as like hot chocolate, but it has a milder, it's thinner, but oh my gosh, it's so good. So anyway, which also is good for your body because it has lots and lots of magnesium and all of these different foods. And it's a fermented food too, by the way. But it's just been heated and cooked, so most of the probiotics are gone, but it's still good for you. And so all of these types of things, that's what I had for breakfast. I made some einkorn bread yesterday, so I'll probably have that with some hummus and sprouts. I've got some sprouts on there, and I make a sandwich with it. And einkorn feeds if you haven't read my article or listened to my article about before gluten was a problem, there was einkorn. I'm telling you, einkorn is a life-changing food. And I've been making a really fast bread with it that only has 4 ingredients, and that was on that article and in that blog post too. But it feeds your microbiome so powerfully because it has so much, it's got an orange color, so it has a lot of vitamin A in it. And it makes a lot of short chain fatty acids in the gut, which is so, so good for you. Einkorn is powerfully good for that. You should check it out. It's so good. Okay, I'm getting off on tangents again. But anyway, that's kind of what I eat. All of those foods are feeding my good gut bacteria, along with some carrots that I had for lunch. And I think I had coconut kefir soda for lunch. And you don't have to do all of this all the time because I don't. But it's like I do have kefir smoothies every day. And I do usually have einkorn every day in either a sandwich, or I make pita breads, or I make things like that. I have a lot of greens. I usually have a big salad every day. And all of that feeds my microbiome. I have this new thing I've been doing with berries. I freeze them, and I pour coconut milk over them and put sliced almonds on them for a snack. They're so crazy good. I do that a lot because the coconut milk kind of gets frozen on the blueberries or almond milk because I make my own, and it kind of gives this little coating. It's like an icy blueberry. It's so good. So anyway, those are types of things that I do to feed my microbiome. They're just ordinary things. They're quick and easy for me. And it feeds it very, very powerfully. and keeps me, and I feel great. I never have slumps. I always feel good. Sometimes I'll have an apple because apples, and especially apple peels, feed Akkermansia, which is one of the most important bacteria in your gut that keeps your gut lining intact. And I like them. I love the fall. I eat a lot of apples. I even have an apple kraut that I want to talk about that I'm going to give you the recipe for when you click on the link description. But let me tell you one of the things, let me get back to cultured vegetables. One of the things I love the most the cultured vegetables do, I use them for any kind of GI distress. They are so effective with dealing with any kind of stomach ailment at all, even food poisoning. And the stories I have witnessed personally and have had so many, many emails from people about how cultured vegetables and the juice from cultured vegetables, just the juice, get rid of food poisoning, nasty stomach bugs that you get. It's just like injecting some kind of magic tonic. It works so quickly. And I was shocked how many people write me about this and how they didn't believe me. And then they do. And all you have to do is have a jar of cultured vegetables in your fridge, which can last like 9 months. So you don't have to make them all the time. But whenever my children come down with any kind of stomach bug, I give them small sips of the juice from cultured vegetables. And I have watched this so many times as the vomiting and diarrhea and stomach cramps subside. And it happens fast. It's like within an hour, it's completely changed. I have seen it knock out food poisoning for me within a few hours when I was just deliriously sick. I've seen it with my whole family. And the special bacteria that's in cultured vegetables is Lactobacillus plantarum, which binds to the mucosal lining of the gut, and it prevents the adhesion and translocation of pathogens, which is the bad guys. It steals those guys' nutrients. It steals all the nutrients that the pathogens need to survive, and then the pathogens die off, and then they pass out through the body, through the colon. And it hugely reduces pathogen growth, which can lead to circulating endotoxins, which can make you feel horrible. Having too many endotoxins can cause the immune system to weaken, which can cause infections and inflammation. So it takes care of that for you. It helps to speed those out of the body. It pretends to be the pathogen's friends, and that it isn't. It just takes all their food from them so that they die. And then they exit the body. And it's a pretty interesting thing how it all works, how friendly bacteria does this. So whenever you have an imbalance of unfriendly bacteria versus good bacteria, then you struggle along. You crave the wrong kinds of foods. You crave the bad foods because it'll make you crave those bad foods. The bad bacteria makes you crave the sugars and the processed foods. It makes you want it. And you just struggle because they want to stay alive too. Those bacteria want to stay alive too. You're also going to be more vulnerable to infections, colds, flus, acne, and many other health problems. And you can feel exhausted and not really living like you should. And you're just kind of getting by in life, which is what I was doing before I found these foods. But it was the friendly bacteria that fixed all that for me. They acted like a SWAT team that can overtake your microbiome for the better, getting rid of those unhealthy microbes and dominating with strong, healthy ones. They fix not just your gut, but they fix your mood too. They make you feel so much better. I literally just witnessed this with my daughter. She's young, she's in her 20s, but she was doing a play. And they had all this unhealthy food in the fridge, and she was eating it because she didn't have time to go out and get stuff and didn't want to use DoorDash because it was expensive. And she was eating a lot of the junk food. She got so grouchy. I said she was snippish. And it was because she was eating bad. And I said, what is happening to my Ollie? And it took about a week, and then she transferred completely back to the way she was. But she got grouchy. Everything irritated her. She was exhausted. And it was because she was eating those foods. She wasn't used to those foods. And she got terrible breakouts. Horrible breakouts. And she learned her lesson. She's like, I'm not doing that again, because she said it was fun because everybody was doing it. And she says, but I'm just not made for that because I didn't grow up like that. And she said, so when she went back to having her smoothies and not eating any of that food anymore, because I didn't know she was doing it. She was doing it when she was in rehearsals and stuff like that. But she said, Mom, it made me so sick. And now she's like getting up early again, feeling happy, not grouchy anymore. Nothing's getting on her nerves. She's a joy to live with, by the way. She's really sweet, but she has a complete personality change when she eats bad food. I was different too before cultured foods. I was more, I would say, on edge. I would get angry faster and things like that. Once I changed my diet, that all changed too. And remember that 80% of the serotonin is made in your gut. So fermented foods rebuild, and those prebiotics nourish that good food. It's important the other stuff you're eating. You know what I'm saying? What you're eating during the day. And you guys, you'll start craving those foods. You know what I mean? You'll start craving, believe it or not, and I'm not kidding you, you'll start craving the foods that your bacteria loves because you're feeding that. You'll start craving them. And it will change the world inside you in a very, very powerful way. I have witnessed this many, many times through emails and through my own personal life, through my kids' life. It makes all the difference in the world. How you feel, because if you're not getting the right vitamins and minerals, then your body doesn't have what it needs to make those, neurochemicals in your body that create wellness, create serotonin, create the feeling of, even L-reuteri. It creates that oxytocin in the brain that makes you feel love and compassion. And all of these foods do different things because your body is literally a chemical pharmaceutical factory. It's making all this stuff for you, inside of you. It's having battles inside of you about who's going to dominate. 100 trillion is a lot of bacteria, but this is all going on without any of your knowledge. And it makes a huge difference when you start paying attention to it. And it becomes very easy because you start craving the foods that love you back. So I have a lot of recipes for you. And here's the deal. You can make a jar of this kraut, and I've got a lot of different ones, so you can pick one, and it'll last 9 months in your fridge. And you don't need huge amounts. Even a spoonful is a big deal. I would recommend starting off with a spoonful when you start because these are powerful foods. And they really last in the fridge so long that it's not very time consuming to make them. You can even make salsas with these, but this is a kraut blog. So here's some of the recipes I have for you. And all you have to do is click on the link description and go to my website, and you'll see, I always have I have an article with it, and I have all the recipes on that article. And you can also, in the link description below, I'll have the link with all the recipes. And here's some of the ones I have. I have apple kraut, which is absolutely delicious. Has a little bit of ginger in it. Apple, it's kind of a fall kraut, which I really like. Blueberry spinach kraut is one of the best krauts ever because it tastes like a mouthful of blueberries. It just has this wonderful flavor. We have a Christmas kraut. With Christmas coming up, it's got cranberries and orange juice, and it's very, very good. It's one of my kids' favorites. We have flu prevention culture veggies, which has a massive amount of prebiotics in it. It has something called jicama, carrots, cabbage, apples, and jicama is one of the biggest prebiotics there is. It's what inulin's made from. And it's very powerful, especially to help build up your immune system. It's a great one to have. I have cinnamon kraut, fruity cinnamon kraut. It's got fruit and cinnamon in it, which is a nice fall one. I have kimchi. I have more of a plainer kimchi, and then I have a spicy kimchi, which is delicious. I have an orangeade kraut, which is made with oranges and kraut and apple. It's so good. I have one of my very favorite, my husband's favorite is Shelley's cultured vegetables. And it has special seasonings in it that gives it this enormously good flavor. And since it's football season here, he likes to take that kraut and mix it into sour cream that is cultured, or into kefir cheese, or into yogurt cheese. And we make this delicious dip with it. We eat gallons of it. It's so good. It's one of my things that I served at my classes that people loved. And it was just cultured vegetables mixed into, I have cultured cream, or I have kefir cheese, or any of those will work. You just mix it in and it tastes really good. And I also have a wisdom kraut, which is made from butternut squash. It's really, really good. And I even have more than this on my website under my recipe section. So you can just type in or just has a drop down, you just type in the kraut, and it'll give you all of my kraut recipes. But these are some of my very favorites. And there's a lot of them that are really good for fall. So I also have a thank you kraut, which is made with cranberries. It's fabulous. I'm going to put that on too. You'd really, really like that. So these are just some of my things. Guys, krauts are really fun to make. They're easy to make. You're just chopping up vegetables. You're putting them in a jar with whatever ingredients, if you want to. You can even just make plain kraut with just kraut and salt. But you need to put salt because that helps drop the pH and keep the the acidity and the types of good bacteria, those acidifying bacteria, keep that environment very safe, and then they ferment it, and that helps drop the pH and make it all. It's very, very safe to ferment vegetables. There's so much good bacteria, it keeps out the pathogens. You can't even let them survive because they can't even get a foothold because there's so much good bacteria in there, which is the same thing it does in your gut. It creates so much wellness in there with the good bacteria that the pathogens have to stay away because they can't survive in an environment where there's an army of good bacteria. So think of yourself when you go to the store or when you're eating as a vessel that has good bacteria, bad bacteria. And 99% of your bacteria, 99.9% of your bacteria is good. It's there for you. It's helping you. But all we ever hear about is the bad bacteria. So you don't need to be afraid of it. You just need to feed it. It's not that hard to do. And you'll start craving the foods that it loves. And it's just an easy win-win all around. So I hope this helps you. I hope you'll fall in love with kraut because kraut it's just one of the most powerful cultured foods. I love it. And there's a lot of good bacteria, specific strains that are really important, especially to help your immune system stay strong and healthy. So thanks for listening, guys. And go make some kraut. Or you can even buy some at the health food store. They have them in the refrigerator section. It'll say live cultures on the back if you want to try them first. And they have kimchis. If they're canned or if they're not in the refrigerator section, then they don't have living cultures. So you're not getting the probiotics you need. But you can even try those at places like Sprouts or Whole Foods. They have them. And they're wonderful. And it's a great way to try them. But they're also very, very easy to make. I have videos and everything to help you. And if you go to my website at culturedfoodlife.com and you'll see a little smiley pot on the menu bar, it says start here. It has a drop down and it tells you how to do everything. It tells you how to step by step to make all the foods, cultured vegetables, kefir, kombucha, arugula yogurt, algasarai, SIBO yogurt. I've got einkorn breads and everything that you need. It's all free there for you. And it's on that little start menu that has a smiley pot. And it has FAQs and recipes and everything I could think of to help you. And that's a great place to get started. And hopefully this will be something that you'll start with because there's nothing like a jar of kraut in your fridge, especially when you need it. When you're not feeling well, you'll be so thankful that you had that jar in there. So have a good week, guys, and we'll talk to you next week.